So much for joining us. Today is called the Growth Stack. We are going to show you the platforms of PreciseFP and Hubly. So if you want to go ahead and get like a show and tell of what each platform entails and how it can add value to your office, you are in the right spot. So we are going to kick it off with PreciseFP. I am joined by Richard. He is going to jump through the system and show you the ins and outs. I'll go ahead and give Richard a second to introduce himself, and then we'll jump right into the show.
Awesome. Thanks, Nora. Hi, everybody. Richard Taney. So I'm EVP of Product and Strategy for PreciseFP. And I'm going to be walking us through the PreciseFP platform, show you a couple quick kind of intros, explain what the platform does. We'll spend the majority of the time actually looking at the platform, kind of showing you the primary use cases, how most people use it, and kind of give you a quick flavor for some of the really cool things that it does. And so I think we'll just jump right into it. Let me share my screen here.
Yes, and definitely stay tuned till the very end because we do have a special promo available going on. So try to stay tuned so you can get a understanding of how that's going to work as well. All right, I see. What is PreciseFP PowerPoint slide?
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so what is PreciseFP? So PreciseFP is a client engagement data gathering platform. So what does that mean? It means it's a really nice, elegant way for you to reach out to the client, interact with the client, collect information, collect documents in a very elegant, customized, branded way. So that's kind of the primary use case. I need to go engage with my client. I need to get some information. Then once I get that information, what do I do with it? I need to then get that information into other systems. So the two primary use cases are gathering data, collecting that information, and then taking that data and then making it valuable data by being able to send that to my CRM, to my financial planning tool, whether up and downstream systems that I need to do. So those are the two primary use cases. One thing I always like to highlight is, how is that done today? Like, how is data gathered? How do you do that today? What do you do for onboarding? How do you collect that information? And then where do you have to put that information? So most firms out there today are still using fillable PDFs or email, or they're handwriting it, or those are not very secure ways of collecting data. First of all, it's not a great experience for the client. Or maybe you're using an AI note-taking tool, which I think are awesome. Anything that reduces the friction around getting information from a client and then being able to make that information useful. So maybe those are one of the ways you do it. But then how do you do that? And even with AI note taking, a lot of times you're collecting the information, but it's not all the information you need for onboarding, or maybe it's not all the information you need in an annual review. And then what about the client experience? So what is the client, how do you share that data back to the client? How do you engage with the client and say, hey, here's all the information that I have. Is this all accurate? So that would be more of the kind of annual review process or quarterly review, or whatever the case may be. But so great ways to collect data, but doing it in a very cyber secure way, very elegant way, very custom way, and then being able to make that data useful once you collect it. So that's really what PreciseFP does, and I'm going to walk you through all this. So that's the primary use case. I need to go engage with my client, collect some information, documents, whatever, and then, like I said, send it upstream into a CRM, financial planning tool, whatever. This is just to share with you that there's a lot more to the platform than what we're going to look at today. So we're going to focus on the template library and the things that we do for around collecting data, digital fact finders, so the two corners there. But the platform does a lot more. There's automated workflows in the system, so you can have things, just set it and forget it, just have it go and collect information and process things through an automated workflow for you. There's service agreements that are embedded in the system. We also have a digital signature embedded in the platform. So we have the option of using like a DocuSign, for example, but we also have our own digital signature. So that comes free with the software. So a lot of people use that for signing service agreements. You can use it to sign anything, but a lot of people use that for service agreements. We have risk tolerance. You can generate risk tolerance numbers out of the system, and for investment policy statements. And then there's a whole lead gen platform. So you can do things like web published forms that you can put on your website, that you can send out in social media, that can automate a lot of the processes for you. So just know there's a lot more to the platform than what we're going to cover today, and that's just kind of give you a flavor for a little broader functionality across the platform. But I am going to jump right into
That is fancy. And it seems like all of that is included in your subscription. You're not going to be nickel and dimed, adding risk tolerance on, or if you think about if you needed to get those through other platforms, the cost that it would be, it seems very, 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 cost efficient.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Nora. Yep, all included in the platform, all for one price. So I'm going to start with the form template library. So first of all, on the platform, we have a bunch of pre-built templates that we provide. And the idea is that these are sort of around different practice management disciplines, different things you have to do as part of your practice. A lot of people use the fact finders. So these are pre-built templates that you can just grab and customize to your heart's content. And I'll show you how that works. But just know we have fact finders. We post new and updated ones here. There's surveys and polls, lots on lead gen, so a lot of prospecting capabilities in the platform. A lot of people use it for the fact finders, so I want to reach out to my client and collect some information. We also have optimized fact finders. So if you notice, like here's Redtail or Wealthbox or eMoney. So if we know where the data is going to land, we know that you use eMoney or Redtail, then you can use an optimized fact finder because we know the specific data that those upstream systems are going to need. So you can start with one of those. But it's super simple. You just grab whatever template you want, you can install it, and then it becomes part of your templates or the My Template section. And then once you're in the My Template, you can simply grab whatever template you want, and then they're super easy to customize. I can just pop into it. We pull in logos and branding and colors. You can change the themes, and here's where you can do pretty much anything. So you can really pretty granularly control kind of the branding of it if you'd like. And then we also have macros where we pull in information based on data that's already in the system. Again, I'll show you that here in a few minutes. I'm going to pop in here just to show you a couple more things. But you can easily come in, modify anything you want, super easy. Drill in here, I could change this to anything that I wanted. Change or I can add sections. Maybe I just want to add a little text box here. I don't know, pet's name, something like that. So it's super easy to customize the engagement, what's going to go out to the client. I just added this little pet's name section here. But you can see this is the full pre-built one. So I just grabbed one, kind of a canned one, and they're super easy to modify. So now how do we use the templates? Let me show you a couple things about kind of the book of business and the clients and how do we get data in the system and build these. So now I'm looking at my book of business. So here's all my clients. I could come in here, I could import. So we have lots of bi-directional integrations, which I'll show you a little bit more about here in a minute. But I could import from another system that I'm connected to. Maybe I want to bring it over from Redtail. I just have a few set up in our demo account here, but maybe I want to import a client from Redtail. So usually you have a gold source of data. A lot of times it's your CRM, and we want to start with a fresh set of data. So maybe I want to go to Redtail, bring in the client, or refresh the set of data for a client. I don't know what happened here. So now I'm going out to Redtail, and I'm actually already connected. I already set up my integration, but integrations are really easy to set up. Name and password, you do it one time. We store a token, and then we know that you've already connected, and we'll connect back into that instance of whatever third-party system. But I just went out and looked. So I'm actually searching in Redtail right now, and maybe I want to import Floyd. I could do that. Maybe I want to import a fresh set of information from Dale. Maybe over the course of, I don't know, whatever, the last several months I've been updating my CRM, but I haven't necessarily refreshed the data here. I could easily come here and I could just import same process. I've already connected Dale, so I've done it in the past, but if I wasn't connected, I could simply go and search for Dale again in Redtail. Oh, there's Dale. So great, let's import that. So I'm going to bring in a fresh set of data for Dale from my CRM in this case. So updating all the information, updating all the profile, you can see we're importing all this information coming over from Redtail. So now I've got a fresh set of data for Dale, and now I want to engage with Dale. I want to reach out to Dale. This could be part of a quarterly review, or for whatever reason you want to reach out to Dale and collect some information. So I'm going to engage Dale with a form. And then we bring up, we have a list of recently used ones, recently updated ones. You could search for whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and just use this dynamic fact finder. So I'm going to select the dynamic fact finder. So now I could send this out to Dale. He also has a co-client, Marcy. I could send it out directly to Marcy, or I could send it out to both if I wanted to. We're going to collect PII. So we're going to want to authenticate. The template has a default authentication method of text. I could go ahead and just say, okay, looks good. I'm going to go ahead and just send this out, send it out to Dale and start the process. I can also customize the messaging that's going to be sent. So here's the new engagement email that they're going to get. You can see that we have macros that you pull in information. Again, I'll generate this and show it to you, but lots of different macros. We can pull in all kinds of different information into the messaging. We also have periodic reminders. So it's a really nice way to say, every 5 days for the next 30 days, if Dale hasn't completed this, give him a little nudge, let him know, hey, Dale, can you please complete this? So very nice, set it and forget it, and let it just kind of run, and you don't have to remember, automatically sends it out. And then there's thank you emails that you can send out. So lots of really nice ways to control the messaging, lots of really nice ways to continue to kind of drip on the client to see that. I can also review and edit this first. So now I want to see maybe what Dale's going to see. I want to render a version of it exactly as Dale's going to see it, or maybe I have some information, or maybe I just want to talk to Dale and I want to type the information in myself. So lots of flexibility around how you use this to collect the data. So we're going to generate the engagement. And again, you can see colors, logos, brandings all pulled in. Dear Dale, those are all done through macros. There's my name as the advisor. So really nice, customized engagement. A lot of people embed videos in here. Hey, this is the quarterly review. This is Richard. I just wanted to make sure you're entering this information. Appreciate it. Whatever. You can really get creative. The other thing we can do is now I'm going to build and send out this engagement. We have the ability to show screens that only I see. So I'm a user, I'm an advisor, and I only see these screens. So you can see the page visible in advisor preview only. So this isn't going to go to the client. If you notice, we've got 3 pages here. And so this is a dynamic fact finder. Maybe all I need is, I just need assets and liabilities. Maybe I have all the other information from Dale, or maybe I need some employment information. So as you can see, as I'm clicking on those, it's adding pages. So it's a really nice way to control how much data I need and what's going to go out to the client. So when I come in here, a few things, maybe I'm coming in and I know, oh, actually this is wrong. It's actually it's born 2001. Middle initial actually E, I don't know, and I think he's married. I'm not sure. We also recognize the form factor they're on. So if they were on a tablet, we would correctly render it, whatever form factor they're on. Probably not going to fill this out on a mobile phone, but you can. So we recognize the form factor that they're on and then automatically adjust the view, which is another nice feature. So let's say I go through and I've updated. You can see I pulled in all that information that I had, brought it all from Redtail. So it's really a lot of data that's already pre-populated in this case. So very little that the end client has to do. So I would say collect the data once. Once you've collected the data, you should never have to collect that piece of data again. It should be a really nice experience for the investor, for the client. So let's say I review it and I say, okay, it looks good. So now I could go ahead and I could hit send and just send this out. We also create a link. So if you wanted to copy that link and then put it into from your own email or something like that, you could simply do that. But I'm going to go ahead and hit send. And we'll show you the client's experience and kind of what they go through. So engagement email successfully sent. So I sent that off to Dale. And I'm going to pop over and show you what that looks like from Dale's perspective. So Dale will get an email that would look like this. And you can see, again, branding, logos, colors, etc., all the language, pulling in the macros. So a very custom experience. And we send them a link. So Dale's going to get the link and select that. Here's that opening message. Again, embedded videos, kind of whatever you want, any language you want, kind of introducing the concept. And then when I hit start, because we're collecting PII, we're going to authenticate them into the system. So I'm going to collect my PIN here. Type that in. Hopefully I typed it correctly. Okay, so now I'm Dale. I've authenticated in the system. So I've actually logged into PreciseFP. It's obviously looks like a digital, form that I'm going to engage with. They're actually in the system, so it's all secure. Everything they do is actually through our platform, and they're logged into our platform. So all cyber secure. So all the data is in a very secure environment. So now as the investor, I'm going to go through and complete this. Maybe actually I don't know, middle initials that, and actually maybe I'm divorced. I can select a different stuff. Oh, here's the pet's name that we just added. So that was how easy it was to customize it. Um, Misty the Wonder Dog. So I'm just going to go through. I can upload documents, data. We can bring in photos. So you can do pretty much any sort of data collection, document collection that you want. So it's really easy to go through the process from a client's perspective. I'm just going to click through it. Show a couple other things. We automatically save as you're going through it. So the really nice thing about that, one, I don't have to worry about saving. If they get stuck, if they don't know what to do, we're also syncing all this data back into the platform. So if they do get stuck somewhere, you can actually get online with them and work on it together because we already sync the data back. So you could actually open up this engagement and say, where are you at? Okay, let me look at that, and help them through the process. That's a really nice feature. Maybe my interest income is actually 4,000. Could also do things like calculated fields. So if you notice this just updated, I don't know if you saw that, but do calculated fields. So there's a lot of way to control the experience and make it so they really can't do it wrong, which is really nice. Anyway, to go through the process, I won't take you through all the steps, but collect all the information. You can also put notes and things as they're going through here, little helpful tips and hints. So a really nice, easy way for engaging with that client and a very elegant experience. Very easy to add more sections. Got another mortgage you want to add in here. Remove things. Like I said, cascading logic. Click on things, it'll automatically add other fields, things like that. But let's say I'm done. I'm Dale. It looks good. I finished my process. I go ahead and hit finish. We get a nice little conclusion note here. Thank you very much. So from a client's perspective, I'm done. So let's pop back into PreciseFP. So as an advisor, we have notifications. So I would get an email, and they're configurable. You can turn them on or off, but I would get an email that would notify me, hey, Dale completed this, so that way I can get a little notice in my email inbox to say that it was completed. But now I'm looking at the dashboard, and we have prospects and clients, and you can set up workflow. And again, we're not going to get into all this today, but set up workflow to kind of automatically drive them through a process of going from a lead gen to a prospect and then moving them over to a client. But we also have, and you can see engagements and statuses. So just a really nice place to come in and see kind of where I'm at with all my activities. We also have a full history of everything that's happened. You can see the financial fact finder was completed. So we give you a full history of everything that happened. But so let's say I got this notification, and I want to go look and see what exactly Dale did and look at this data. You can also do these in bulk. So I could go and select a whole bunch of clients here and then say engage and do 50 at a time if I wanted. Send those out. Maybe it's your quarterly review. So you can make it a kind of a bulk processing. But let's look at Dale, and I'm going to show you what his profile looks like. Call out a couple things here. So this is all the information that we store on Dale. So this is our client profile, and you can see it's a fairly exhaustive, lots and lots of data that we can collect and store. But one of the nice things is we actually identify any changes since the last time, and that's these little green boxes over here. So it's a really nice way to see exactly what changed without having to go through everything in the system. And you can see here, we can hover over this. I can actually see the last value, what it was previously, and then what the current value is. And then in this case, we did a calculated field, but then the change. So it's really nice. Like I said, you can do these in bulk and then process these. And then as they're coming back in, it's just a really nice way to look at them and go, oh, okay, I see what changed. Or maybe I changed this one from married to divorced. Obviously you see some significant change in here, and then probably a good reason to reach out to Dale and see what's going on. So anyway, just a really nice way to quickly scan, automatically show you what changed based on the information that was input, and then identify those changes. And then finally, now what? So now I've got this data, I've collected this information, and now I want to do something with this data. So I want to send it up to one of my integration partners. Maybe I want to sync this back into my Redtail Maybe you want to send it over to eMoney, whatever the case may be. I'll show you all of our partners here and all the ones you can send them to, but very easy to do. Again, we just collect all this information. I can go ahead and just export that back out. And now we're going to push all that data over, in this case, to Redtail. So really nice, super easy way, a very elegant experience for the end investor. Lots and lots of data we can grab and move around, and then send that data into upstream systems. And
Yeah,
then
that's a whole grand list on the right. Do you know, can you quantify how many fields exactly are moving between Redtail and PreciseFP and PreciseFP to Redtail?
I can do that actually. Thanks, Nora. Yeah. So here is a list of all of our partners. So most of our integrations are bidirectional. Meaning we can push and pull data. So like with Redtail, as I was showing you, we publish all this. If you just go search under Google and just put in PreciseFP partners, you can find this page. And then we list all of our integration partners, and I'll actually pick on Redtail since you were asking. If you drill into any one of these, we'll give you a little brief description of what it does, how it works, and then we actually publish all of our mapping tables. So you can actually drill into our knowledge base, and then we actually publish all of our mapping tables. So I can look at the Redtail mapping table. I know this will be like a mind-numbing thing to look at on screen here, but just to show you, this is all the stuff, for example, that we map and share with Redtail. So lots and lots and lots of data. So it makes it really powerful. And again, all these are available. We publish all of our mapping tables, and you can simply go out and find the one you want, and then see exactly what data we map back and forth. So that's the stuff I wanted to show today. Really, just how do you reach out to a client? How do I bring data in from a client? Send that out, collect information, engage with that client, show you some of the highlights of how what a nice experience that is for the end investor. Super important. And then how do I use that data in an intelligent way, which means now I got to move that into some other system and continue the process, whether it be financial planning tools or my CRM or wherever it needs to live. So I will actually
Kurt,
now.
I had to recently engage with my financial advisor. I wanted to change some of my allocations just given the market conditions. And I got a fillable PDF sent to me, and I honestly deeply wish my advisor had this. And when he sent me the fillable PDF, I realized the information he had on record was like 3 or 4 years old.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, this is so bad. And, obviously knowing Precise FP well, I was like, he really needs this. It was just a really bad experience having to go through that. And we ended up having to go back and forth with 3 or 4 different fillable PDFs before we, corrected the information. And so, yeah, it was very frustrating. And so, I can totally see the investor experience on the other end being significantly improved through this.
Much more efficient. We see hours and hours and hours of time saved using this. And like I said, you collect the data once. It's like everybody's had that experience. You go to the dentist, they hand you the iPad, and they have your name, and you're like, "Are you kidding me? I've done this for the last 10 years. Like, why do I have to enter this data again?" So it's there's so many benefits to it, and such a nicer experience for the end investor, and you're so professional and such an elegant experience. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I
Sure.
love that. That's a great point. And it really is going to set yourself up as a premier firm. That is definitely your chance right there to be super clear, super communicative. You can let them know after the meeting, like, hey, by the time you get home, there's going to be an email in your inbox. It's going to have a link to a form that's going to have everything that we talked about today. Just give it a once over. If anything's missing or incorrect, they could put it in at that time. Or even for onboarding, you could go ahead and collect that data before a meeting. So that way you're really getting to the meat and potatoes of a conversation before. And even in that email Richard showed, you can be super clear and communicative there. Like, in the email, they're understanding you're going to want their bank statements, you're going to want their tax return. And that way it kind of sets that expectation of how much, information they need to gather before clicking. So, really great chance to set yourself up as a premier firm. And I would say too, I know with that customization, you're investing tons of marketing dollars putting together a brand guideline of your colors and your logos. You definitely want to customize the engagements with things like that, but also think about the population you're serving. If you're serving an aging population, bump up that font size so that way it feels better when they're inside. So a lot of power there. And what kind of help is available, Richard, if people do have questions or they want to know best practices? What can they do?
Yeah, we have award-winning support. Like we win amazing awards every year. Our support team is just absolutely fantastic. So we have chat that is very, very responsive. You have actual people on the other side of that. So go through chat would be my recommendation. Lots of information online, knowledge-based articles, YouTube videos. If you want to learn more about it, you can just look up PreciseFP. But start with the chat. Happy to answer questions. Like I said, award-winning, amazing support, very responsive. So just jump in there or start a free trial, and we'll set you up with a coaching session, which means a 30-minute window where we'll actually get a person on that's very knowledgeable, walk you through the platform, understand what you want, and then help you get set up and launched very quickly. So lots of great support behind it, and lots of ways to get to it.
Really great. Thank you so much. Now we'll pivot and go over to Hubly if you want to introduce yourself and show us and tell us all about Hubly.
Awesome. Thanks, Nora. Thanks, Richard. For those who don't know me on the call, my name is Louis. I'm the product owner and co-founder here at Hubly. Excited to do a webinar here with PreciseFP. I'm going to do a quick introduction on Hubly for those who haven't heard of it. I also do see a number of Hubly customers on the call, and I'm sure you're here today to figure out some of the more advanced use cases around automation opportunities between PreciseFP and Hubly, and I'll actually be covering that as well. And so bear with me, I'm going to do a quick introduction to Hubly for those who haven't heard of us, and then we'll get into some of the advanced stuff after that. So get my screen shared here. Awesome. So for those who haven't heard about Hubly, we're on a mission, if you love Justin Timberlake, to bring the sexy back to the back office. Hubly is a workflow and process management system. Now, the core problems we're tackling in the industry, which a lot of you are likely familiar with, I'm sure you've woken up on Monday or Tuesday and you're said, I'm just so tired of my clunky, inefficient CRM. That's very common, and we're here to solve that problem. Hubly is a very intuitive, what we call operating system that's going to help you streamline your workflows, processes, and task management in your firm. Now, for anyone who's ever tried to build a workflow in their CRM or just a workflow in general, it's relatively difficult. And so Hubly's made it really intuitive and easy to build workflows from scratch. And we have an entire templates library that I'll touch on in a second. And the last thing you'll notice about Hubly is the way we've designed the product is we've made it as simple as easy to click around. We have immediate visibility into where things are. You can monitor progress. We have really spectacular insights. We don't even call it reporting because reporting seems like a CSV report. We have insight reports that really help you understand what's happening in your business, making sure that nothing falls through the cracks. So what Hubly does is we're an operating system built for your business. The best way to think about it is I like to think of your CRM as your core database for your business. You can think of Hubly large parts sitting on top of your CRM. We integrate directly with Wealthbox and Redtail. We surface all of the most important information, and Hubly becomes the day-to-day system that you work in as a team. We help drive efficiency, automation. We help increase your capacity as a team to service your clients and ultimately help you grow your business. And most importantly, for those that are intimidated or worried about workflows and just said, I can't do it or figure it out, Hubly comes pre-built with a ton of workflow templates with all the best practices. And you can also schedule workflow consultations with our team as we work through that with you. So that's what Hubly does. Let's switch gears here into a quick demo. And so I'll just start here actually showing you our workflow templates library. We have an exhaustive workflow templates library with hundreds of workflows. And so you pretty much never need to build a workflow from scratch. I unfortunately don't have, 4 or 5 hours here today to show you guys all of our workflows. And so I'll be focusing on just one of our core workflow use cases that firms are using Hubly for. And that is what we call our money movement workflows. Think of this as account openings, trades, transfers, conversions, all of the workflows that happen in your firm that actually result in the movement of money. And I'm going to help you show you what a day in the life could look like, assuming your firm is using Hubly to manage your money movement workflows instead of what you're likely using today, which is a spreadsheet or notes in your CRM. And so drum roll. This is what a day in the life could look like in Hubly. Now, quick orientation here. Each of these columns is what we call a workflow. And so you have your account opening workflow, your transfer workflow, contribution workflow, rollover workflow, etc. These are clients that are in that particular workflow. So for example, we're opening up an account for Betty. We're doing a transfer for Beatrice. We're doing a distribution for Devin here. Right from your dashboard, when you wake up in the morning, you can see the progress that you're making on specific workflows for specific clients. And you can see who on the team is assigned to the next step in that workflow. And obviously you can see overdue or upcoming reminders across your business. And so it makes it really quick and easy to prioritize and focus on what's next. Let's for a moment assume that in this case, I'm Alex on this team. I can see I have an upcoming reminder here for Betty Sue to move along the account opening workflow for Betty. What you can do is you can go ahead and actually click on that specific client, and this opens up what we call the client card in Hubly. I like to think of the client card as the place where you process work. You're moving clients along the work and you're actually delivering things to them. Now, we make it really easy to do work for your clients and centralize a lot of the data you need to move them along. Here we pull in all of your information from your CRM. We pull in your household information, meeting data, contact information, important client dates, etc. And in the middle here, you can see the open and active workflow for Betty. She's in the opening account workflow, and you can see that the next step is here is assigned to you, Alex, in this case. So let's go ahead and actually complete this workflow. So first off, we have to document some of the details here. So this is an existing client. No account type here is, let's say, for individual, and funding method is, let's say, rollover, for example. These are all customizable, and we need the standing instructions. I'm going to just plant a seed here. Because I selected rollover, there's going to be something that happens on the other end. The rollover workflow might get activated. So let's go ahead and save the changes here. And now you can see the next task has been completed there. And the workflow has already assigned the next task to your client service associate or whoever is working with you at your firm. If we go back to the dashboard, you can see that the progress has now updated, the assignee has changed, and Betty has actually been added into the rollover workflow as well. And so you can have automations that trigger particular workflows and obviously assign work accordingly across the firm.
Really nice. I like that. And if you think about all of that data that is being prompted and kind of a wizard driven instead of those things just slipping through the cracks into the abyss where no one remembers or no one documented it, that's really nice.
Yeah, it's quite fun. And I mentioned earlier, like workflow building is really simple in Hubly, and I don't like to just say that. I actually like to show it as well. Whenever you build a workflow in your CRM, you have to go down this deep dark hole to figure out how to build them. Let's say you just went through that account opening workflow, you're like, we should have, added an additional field there. Editing workflows in Hubly happens on the same screen here. So I can go ahead and edit the workflow. Here you can see the workflow, the specific conditions that have been set up. And so let's say, for example, I want to go ahead and edit that particular form. I can see here is the form. I can go ahead and edit the form, or let's say I want to add another form field, for example. I want to collect the current custodian. And you can go ahead and update those forms, very similar to PreciseFP, right? In terms of giving you the ability to really customize your experience. What you're seeing here is actually the Hubly template and workflow that it comes pre-built. You know, we've really engineered these to cover most of the best practices of what is essential, but you can quickly edit and improve the template just as I did there.
Yeah, I think that's the magic. I can't emphasize that enough, is you're not starting from scratch. This is already established for you, and then you're just injecting your secret sauce into it. Whether, if you're onboarding someone and you put their name on a marquee when they arrive, it's just a matter of injecting that into an already established process. You don't have to do all this typing and moving and saving.
And I'll just show you here how easy it is to set up an automation. I'm just going to go ahead here and delete that rollover automation. I'm just going to delete that condition. And let's just reset up that condition. So we'll go ahead here. So when field type from the account details form and the funding method is equal to rollover, that condition is set up. And so it's no code automations. You don't have to do anything fancy. You click a couple buttons and it's all done. And so just wanted to quickly show the workflow building there. And the last thing I wanted to mention is helping things not fall through the cracks before I transition here to talk a little bit more about some of the advanced stuff with Zapier, is wanted to show our insights functionality. And we have tons of dashboards at Hubly. I don't have time to demo them all today. You can find them on our help center, but I'll show you what is going to become likely one of your most powerful dashboards to start your day. This is what we call your active workflows dashboard. The average firm that we work with has likely hundreds of active workflows across their client base. And so this is your active workflow dashboard. Here you can see this firm has 82 active workflows, and we automatically track what we call workflow aging. And so you can see here we have 34 workflows under 30 days old, 16 between 30, 60 days old, and then we have the most concerning would be your aged workflows. This is likely where something has fallen through the cracks. Now, our reports and insights are interactive at Hubly, and so I can actually click on this number 32 here, and I can pull up and see, for example, we have an update beneficiaries workflow for Gabe that was started 106 days ago. What happened? We should be updating the beneficiaries. Where did this fall through the cracks? So you can quickly find the items that are important for you to prioritize. And that's just one of our many advanced and fun insight dashboards that you can use in Hubly.
Yeah, I love that. It seems like you can make informed business decisions, not just internally about your process, but also even about people. Maybe a certain client you work with always drops the ball and takes forever on something.
Yeah.
You can make that assessment as well.
Yeah. And so I'm going to switch gears a little bit. That was a brief introduction to both PreciseFP and Hubly. I do see there's a number of PreciseFP and Hubly users who both use Hubly and PreciseFP on the call. And so to make sure that you all benefit from this as well, we're going to talk about some of the Zapier integrations that are available today and also templated in order to connect the two platforms. As some of you might know, Hubly was recently acquired by DocuPace, who also owns PreciseFP, and so we are now officially sister companies, and we have a lot of exciting things coming down the road. Most importantly, today we're going to show some of our Zapier automations that you can set up. So I'm going to switch gears here. Now, for those who are new on the call and are not familiar with Zapier, Zapier is a no-code platform that allows you to connect multiple software tools that you use in your business. Sometimes software tools don't have direct integrations. Hubly and PFP do not today have a direct integration, but you can connect the products through what are called zaps. They're automated triggers and actions that help you accomplish tasks in both products. Now, I always like to explain the basic concept of Zapier before we get into the details. The basic concept behind Zapier is the idea of a trigger and an action event. Now, both Hubly and PreciseFP have a number of trigger and action events. And so the question is, what sort of triggers and actions can you tie together between the products to help automate additional work? There are a number of them available today and templated, which I will walk through for you in a second. So if you've logged into Zapier, you'll find that PreciseFP has 4 trigger events, Hubly has 1 trigger event, and then we each have a number of action events. Now, Richard and I and the team have been working on tying these together for you on a number of core use cases that are very important that we've seen a lot of other firms set up. For example, let's say a client's going through an onboarding workflow in Hubly and you want to send a PreciseFP fact finder. We have a trigger in Hubly where if you complete a task in Hubly, you can automatically send a PreciseFP form engagement. Or let's say, for example, you want to update a client, a fact finder date in Hubly, you can set up an automation where when a fact finding form is completed in PreciseFP, you want the fact finder date to be updated in Hubly, and then you can run a number of automations off of that date. Available to you today, you can scan this QR code, is we have 6 available pre-built templates in Zapier that you can connect our products together. This is just a start of many integrations to come between our products, but we wanted to make sure that folks start utilizing those today, and there's going to be a great way to start giving us feedback on what works and what doesn't as we explore some additional deeper integrations. And so I'm just going to walk through the core templates that are available today. The first one I already mentioned, which is when a task is completed in Hubly, we want to send a form engagement. For those that are Hubly users in the call where you have a number of workflows where you're collecting data from your clients, which are quite common, think about that task can now be fully automated. You don't even need to log into PreciseFP. Additional ones is, let's say a new client, if you have a PreciseFP form on your website for new prospects to fill out. They fill out that form and you want them added into your prospecting workflow in Hubly. That's a very common one that we see set up and is now available as well. What other ones are good here? You might, depending on the types of forms that you have in PreciseFP, the action available in Hubly is assigning a client to a workflow. And so there's a number of use cases of different forms. Let's say a RMD form gets completed. You want them added into the RMD workflow in Hubly. There might be an opportunity there. There's a way to update dates with the PreciseFP forms in Hubly, and there's a way to actually assign clients to stages and having the pipeline from PreciseFP integrated with your Hubly workflows as well. And these are just the initial ones that are available. We're exploring a number of other ones as well. And so feel free to scan that QR code. There's a public site where you can actually see all of these and dive in deeper as well.
Yeah, that is great. Everyone take out your phone, scan that just so you can have it open on your browser as well. But even things like, setting fields as mandatory in PreciseFP forms. So that way, in order to say you've successfully added a client, you might want 10 to 15 fields that are just, you cannot compromise on not getting those. Set those as mandatory in PreciseFP, and then it'll make the Hubly workflow go smoother and get everything you need to go.
Richard, any comments on the integration opportunities here?
Yes, actually. So first of all, thank you for walking us through that, Louis. The Zaps are really cool, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. And we'll be continuing to look to add more. But super interested in feedback, what people are thinking, how they want to connect our platforms together. The reality is, a lot of people on this call are in there every day. They know the platforms as well, or if not better, and you guys are actually in there using it in your daily lives. So we're really interested in just ideas and things you want to see, and And we're super excited about PreciseFP and Hubly and combining these together. And oh, look at that! I jumped the gun.
Shoot. So, as Richard was mentioning, we are looking for roadmap feedback to more deeply integrate the products. The Zapier connections are just phase one. We have a long roadmap and plan ahead of us where Richard and I are working very closely together to help our products be more deeply integrated. And we're looking for early feedback. And so there's another QR code if you want to get your phone out. We have an open and public roadmap item that we would love your comments and feedback on in terms of how would you like to see Hubly and PreciseFP play together in your tech stack to help you grow your firm even faster.
That's awesome. Thank you, Richard and Louis, for being so open for that feedback and then working on implementing that as well. Just to wrap up, I'm gonna throw a comment into the chat. If you open that tab on your GoToWebinar, you'll have written directions, but you can try out either platform for 50% off for 6 months. So half of the year, you're gonna get 50% off of your subscription. If you are a PreciseFP user, you'll get Hubly for 50% off for those 6 months. If you are a PreciseFP user, you'll get Hubly for 50% off for those 6 months. There are sequential directions listed there in the chat, but definitely reach out if you want to take advantage of this offer. Big opportunity there, but it does expire on May 15th. So you have about a week to take advantage of this offer and then it is gone. So hopefully we could dedicate some time, set somebody as the head point in your office to go ahead and explore these platforms, see how it could add value to your office, and you'll be able to take advantage of that discount. Very quickly, I did have some questions come in. Al is asking any tools to extract data from documents to populate data fields for PreciseFP, Richard.
Yes. So working on that, actually. So we are working on a number of integrations with third-party platforms that do that today. So we're looking as that as an option. And then we're also looking at, we're experimenting with that internally right now, doing our own development. So coming soon. So you'll be hearing about some integration announcements coming up that are going to do exactly that. The way I think about this is, like I said earlier, AI note-taking tools, really nice way to go get some data, bring that into the system. And we've already done an integration with, for example, FinMate, where we can actually index and move the data in. We're going to be rolling out Zox. So we're also going to bring in some of the document data collection, extraction, third-party platforms to then bring that data over into PreciseFP. And then we're also looking at internal development. So really nice ways to remove some of that friction to get some of that data. And then on top of that, you can collect whatever's missing with PreciseFP, and then you can also share it back to the client. So all these things are very complementary of one another, and we're looking forward to it. But yeah, coming soon, coming soon.
Fantastic. And I admittedly am very jazzed about that FinMate AI integration. Invite FinMate AI into your meeting. It's going to automatically capture that information, put it in the correct fields, go over to PreciseFP, and PreciseFP can send it to your financial planning software or your CRM. So a lot of magic happening there. Nancy is asking for Hubly. Will Hubly be adding additional integration points over time between Redtail?
Hi, Nancy. Good to see you. Simple answer is yes. We will always be making improvements to our CRM integration. Just this year, as you're aware of, and I know your team utilizes, we significantly improved our meeting sync functionality with the CRM, which allows for a ton of automations. And so simple answer is yes, we will always be adding automations. I think the more interesting area that we're likely going to explore in the near future is how can we get access to all the data in PreciseFP, who already has that CRM integration. That way we don't have to do duplicate work in terms of CRM integrations, and we can now that PreciseFP is a sister company, we can potentially leverage some of that work they've already done. And so it'll hopefully help accelerate the roadmap on that front.
That's a nice trick, right? I can't tell you how many tech partners I've worked with where they're like, we've been trying to integrate with so and so, but we're just gonna hop over them and do it with PreciseFP instead. So
Yeah.
that way everything's already established. It's ready to go. Really great. I have Nick asking, what if you utilize the CRM for one-off tasks in addition to workflows? Do you bounce between CRM for tasks and Hubly for workflows, or does Hubly have a single task functionality?
Hubly does have the ability to do one-off tasks, and so most of our firms will end up utilizing Hubly for one-off tasks as well. And so that's definitely the option, but it sometimes is preference-based, I would say, depending on the firm that we work with. Like Hubly becomes their workflow system, and they have some, some people use. I personally use for my one-off tasks. I have a notebook that I use, and so it really depends on the individual team and firm. Generally speaking, and maybe philosophically speaking, I rarely believe one-off tasks are always there. And so the way we do one-off tasks in Hubly is it actually allows you to collect the data on one-off tasks. And you'll quickly see most firms over time realize that, oh, I actually need a workflow for that. I need a workflow for that. And so most of your one-off tasks, when you start leveraging Hubly, will naturally turn into workflows.
Interesting. I know you shared an office had made a watering the plants in the office workflow. So even
Yes.
something like that, you might have had it as a one-off task initially and realized, wait, if I leave for the week, the plants are going to die if there's not a workflow in place.
Another cool, neat trick I might recommend is Nick, and we do this a lot with firms in our workflow consultations, and would love to do it with you if you sign up for Hubly. Is try to export all of your one-off tasks that wherever you have them documented in Redtail, or if you use a spreadsheet, and upload, 1,000 records to Chat GPT or Claude, and ask them to do an analysis on, hey, what are my most common one-off tasks that I'm completing that actually should be workflows. It's actually quite impressive what it will split out. It'll be like, here are all the workflows you should be creating in your firm because people are doing one-off tasks that shouldn't be one-off tasks and should be workflows. And so a really good exercise to run that we encourage a lot of folks that we work with to run.
Awesome. That's a great free tip of the day. Nick
Today.
is also asking for PreciseFP. Richard, this is for you. Will you be looking to integrate with other AI note takers, Jump, Zox, Time?
Yes, yep, talking to all of them, all in different stages. Actually, a little precursor to something coming out, but we're already in the development stage with Zox. Have had conversation with Jump. If there's other ones that you think we should be talking to, happy to have those conversations. We're really trying to drive the platform toward that data hub concept and being able to connect all these things. So the more we can, like I said, reduce the friction, the more integrations we can have, the better. So we are very active in developing integrations on all fronts. But yeah, lots more coming on the AI note taking front as well.
Maybe
Yes,
make
we'll
a
just
quick
take
comment.
Michael Kitsis's map and just power everything, right?
Exactly. I'll make one quick comment there. It's a very nuanced one, but if there are firms on the call who use Hubly, Jump, and Wealthbox, you can actually integrate those three tools with Zapier really beautifully. And
Oh,
so if that is something that is you're interested in, unfortunately, due to Redtail's limitations, you can't do it with Redtail. But if you use Wealthbox, Jump, and Hubly, you can actually have Jump's AI notes activate workflows in Hubly via Zapier. So something to explore if there's anyone on the call who is interested in that.
that's great. Awesome. Nancy says, thank you. Nancy, we thank you. We thank everybody else for being part of today's session. If there are any follow-up questions, let us know, and we're more than happy to help. I know that with Hubly as well, there's consultation available. So we're here to help you along the way. Amy also asked, are there consultants who can help me implement? And I'm not sure if that's for PreciseFP or Hubly or both.
I
Um,
can quickly comment on the Hubly front. So Amy, if as soon as you can go to the Hubly website, you can sign up for a 30-day free trial. as soon as you sign up for the 30-day free trial, you can schedule automatically as part of the sign up flow, you can schedule your workflow consultation with one of our workflow consultants. And if you're already a client of both, yes, you can also schedule workflow consultations. Just reach out to the support team, and we can get that going for you. We actually have the same support team now, and so you can schedule one call and you can get help on both Hubly and PFP. And so just reach out to the support chat on either product, and we would love to help you on that.
Nice. I like that. And Amy did say she's a client of both already.
Exactly.
So that is the Amy has an optimized firm right there for sure. Kudos to you. All right. Well, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Louie. This was so informative. Definitely let us know if there's any other questions. Thank you all so much for your time today and have a great rest of the day.